Awesome.
Action.
And you'll get the door if anyone rings. So we're just gonna chat with Bill for a little bit since he's back after producing, filming, starring in his film. So just take us through the process. We'll do questions if there are questions, if I think of any. Just walk us through the process, how it started and how it transpired. And
I mean, how it started is, I mean, you want to go that far back, where it came from?
Wherever
was-
you want, why not?
This film was loosely based on my big brother and I. Because we used to drive around our little orange Volkswagen in the 70s, getting high, drinking beer, and being kind of irresponsible and directionless. Anyway, so one day in the mid-70s, we pulled over to the side of the road downtown Spokane and to roll a joint and parked next to a vacant lot. And there was this homeless man crawling across the vacant lot. Like he was blind, he was just gone. I just remember it still affects me to today. And we're like, whoa, and I'm kind of joking about I'm 19, underage, you know, and my brother wants to help this guy out. And I talk him out of helping him because we had a bunch of Rainier beer in the car and pot and, you know, get in a little trouble doing that stuff. So we drive away, but he, and then about 20 years later, I wrote it down on a piece of paper, just what transpired that day and how that old man haunted me. Well, you know, who was this old guy? What was his life? You know, and he still haunts me to today. And then I put it back in the file, and then as I just, you know, finally just, I wrote one little short 12-minute movie, and we produced it and made it a while back, so that kind of got me into writing, and I just pulled that piece of paper out, and my wife helped me start fleshing things out, and it turned into what the movie is.
Was it a treatment of vacant lot, or you just a separate?
It was just based on the fact that two brothers, kind of screw-ups, see this old man in the parking lot. That was the genesis of the movie. And so I wrote it, started off with, you know, 8 pages and 16 pages, and it grew from there, and we had a version of it, and during the pandemic when we did Connecting in Chaos, with Jennifer Gatz and Becca Cook, we did the Zoom table reads and stuff, and we read it at that. And it was pretty well received, but as Bo was saying, everyone was saying, oh, great script, you know. So I took it all with a grain of salt. I was like, okay, well, thanks, it was fun.
Was that your first feature-length screenplay?
Feature length, yeah. And even feature length, I mean, it's still a little shy. A good feature length, what, 115 pages, something like that, or more.
Not 90 to, yeah, buck 20.
This was 95 pages. And it just, the characters just started fleshing out. And then I went back again. And then as I started doing table reads up at Mystery Ridge, I got to know Dia Top. And so one day after we did, I think when we read In Between, that's
That was Sharky's, yeah.
Sharky's script. And I went up to Dia. I finally got enough nerve. I said, you know, would you mind taking a look at this, please? Just nervous and embarrassed. And so she spent, gosh, about 2 or 3 weeks giving me some good input. Like, well, that's confusing, or what does that mean? She was, you know, very blunt, which I really needed at that time. And so I scrubbed that some more. And then finally, I brought it to Rick, and he read it, and he essentially said, "Send it, take it to Jerry and Amanda."
Well, yeah, but I think Dia had already done that. I want to give her due. I think she brought it to them and was like, we got to do this. And they were already aware of it, you know, when I'm like, hey. And what happened then?
Well, I sent it to him, let's see, I think it was like a Monday or a Tuesday. I think it was a Tuesday because that you and I talked about it in class the night before. So it was a Tuesday morning. I sent it to him. By Friday, I said, well, why don't we get together? I think it was Amanda. I said, why don't you come up and visit? So the following, or maybe that was a Saturday, I drove up there and Dia was there and the four of us started talking. And I remember Amanda, you know, so I was going through the story and we were talking about things, and then she goes, okay, wait, if any, you know Amanda, she goes, are you going to direct this? And I was like, I said, I don't have the balls to do that. Are you kidding me? She goes, well, so who's going to direct it? And I was saying, you know, I'm hemming and hawing and all this stuff. And I go, well, you? She goes, okay, I needed to hear you say that. So you want me to direct it? And I go, yes, I want you to direct it. And she goes, okay, let's go. And then, holy shit, the floodgates open. Jerry's Jerry is already talking, yeah, I can get us a Volkswagen and we can do this. And then he told, you know, a half-hour story of his trailer and his truck, and you know, Jerry likes to tell stories, and so we talked about that. And so we started meeting twice a week, just talk about getting crew together. And there was a few people I had identified early on that I felt really good about the parts. Bo Charles, he played the older brother Randy, and he did the table read in Connected in Chaos, and I never saw anybody else in that role but Bo. Jennifer Simmons, a classmate of ours here, I pictured her as Louise. There were certain people that I picked, and then the other ones were more difficult. The younger brother, Eric. Oh my goodness. And then the Kim Aubrey character, the Forest Ranger. We must have 5 or 6 young ladies audition for that. Couldn't get anybody to audition. Not that they didn't want to audition. We had a couple auditions for the younger brother Eric, but he just wasn't there. Wasn't the right personality.
Well, and you're also looking for someone that's going to match your other brother, so
Yeah,
that
they have the
narrows your choices there considerably. You know.
Yeah. And then Jerry brought us in Oscar Owens, and I mean, talk about a bolt of lightning. This young man, 23, is he? Jeez, just a phenomenal. He just grabbed that part and I guess he's done Broadway in New York, and he's for
he
such
was
a young guy, he's quite accomplished.
And had the look.
He had the long hair and the handlebar mustache going. We're like, and it was a great video submit for the character. I gave him some notes on his, technique and things like that, but the energy, that he brought was it for the brothers that gave us that spark, like you said.
It was. During his audition, I watched his tape, and I'll never forget these words because I ended up eating the words later. But I remember watching it, and I turned to Jerry and Amanda, and I go, I don't know, he's really good, but I don't think he's squirrely enough. Because I wanted him to be kind of goofy and squirrely, and then he showed up on set, and he just, God, talk about squirrely. Look up in the dictionary. I swear Oscar's face is going to be there, because this young man, and I love him to death, he's a high energy. After the table read, remember how he kept just circling the table and talking? We're all sitting there. He was just as he's talking and everything. But
He's a force of nature. Breaking into song. They have a piano there. We'd get a little private concert. He'd get down on their electric piano and sing a few songs before lunch, and but it was the perfect embodiment of the energy that we really wanted for the film, because what we wanted was this. Okay, these guys are screw ups, but they're lovable screw ups. Number one,
they're not bad.
No, they're not bad. They're just dumb. And we get to see them wake up. we get to see them grow up, right? It's that little slice of life, but it needed that playfulness, and it was a perfect chemistry that I think also brought Bo out beautifully.
Yeah, Bo was pretty reserved at the table read. I remember I watching the table read and thinking, God, you gotta bring it up here because you're the older brother, you're in charge. And during the table read, he was really kind of overshadowed, overrun by Oscar. And but he, like you just said, because all the rehearsals, because Rick was, came on as acting coach and on set every single day, and he really brought those two guys out and together. How many? Just 2 one-on-one type of rehearsals?
We only had 2 rehearsals.
Just 2?
Which is all we needed, really. And they also got together on their own. And the chemistry was there. And that's all we needed, we worked a big, heavy scene in the rehearsal process.
Oh, yeah.
And that was crazy power. We were in tears after that last time through.
I wasn't crying, you were.
I'm happy to admit that I was.
I was bawling like a baby.
A lot of moments. This guy throughout the whole process. So we got to cast our forest ranger. Basically, Amanda was like, "Okay, I got somebody," and I'm like, "Look, I'm putting someone down on Thursday in class, but I got someone else in mind. Can I give it to her?" And Bill and Amanda were like, "Yeah, fine." This is Amy, who'd been with us in Zoom for a year, and I worked with her on a different project that she wanted coaching for. And at the end of that session, I said, here's the script. Do me a favor, give me a video submit for it. Next day, she sends me 2 different takes. I get on the phone with her, 15 minutes of notes. A couple hours later, sends me another one. I like it, and I message her. I'm like, "Do you like it?" She's like, "Yeah." All right, great. I'm gonna send it in. Amanda watches it immediately. She responds with, "Wow, thank you."
Yeah.
Booked it. And
Because she had someone in mind that she liked the best. I had somebody else on mind that I liked the best, and so Amanda and I were preparing for a discussion
well,
on
and
how we were going to cast it.
and I'm putting another student down who I think also did an excellent job.
Yeah.
Her video submit was great as well, because we worked it in class the same way we do here, and then we put it on tape. But when it comes to casting, there's gonna be something about someone, and it made sense, and it doesn't have to do with talent. So when you guys don't get cast, don't play those mind games with yourself about, I'm not good at it. No, it has nothing to do with, 99% of the time, in my personal opinion, it has nothing to do with talent. There's just a look, a feel, and energy. And then when you get up in the business, it could just be, the director or the producer's friend. I mean, who knows, right? An audition's an opportunity to do what you love, period. And we do it, and we are all after the same thing, and that's the best possible project, period. And that's what we're gonna go for, and that's what everyone, I'd say especially in this cast and crew in particular, was on board for, because like I was saying earlier, we had less than a skeleton crew, really, really small, but it was a phenomenal group of people, and everyone there is there to contribute and help, and no ego.
Everyone showed up every day, and I'm not just talking physically. They were there. They were there and focused. Truly the first time I've ever produced, and it was what a learning experience for me, watching what's going on and how they do it, watching the Annas and the Calebs and the Deshaun, and just watching these guys just talk their stuff, and they just, I was just so impressed with them all. They were just a joy to watch work, because I wasn't on camera as that much. Well,
Yeah, you were.
I guess I was.
Yes, he was. He's in the whole film.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead and talk about that a little bit.
Well, the character I played, okay, ratcheting back a little bit, the two brothers were arguing who's the best band. This was verbatim from my big brother and I. He loved Cream, I loved Zeppelin. Okay, so we would argue about who was the best. And so I had the characters arguing about it. And then they see this homeless guy in the vacant lot. Oh, I'm playing the homeless guy. And so they're going to go up to Colville and dig up a bag of pot for this low-life drug dealer. But then they think, actually, my brother and I didn't do that. That's fake. We smoked a lot of it, but we didn't do any of that. But so they decide, well, they see this homeless guy. Hey, man, let's get this guy to go with us and let him dig it up. You know, that kind of thing. Just kind of throwing this homeless guy to the wolves. So they, when they talk him into getting in the car with him, and they say, let's not use our real names. And I'll go by Eric Clapton. You go by Jimmy Page. That kind of stuff. And then they ask, well, what do you go by? And of course, my character didn't answer. And so, well, we'll just call you Ringo. And so I became Ringo. And so I didn't have a line in the whole movie. I had no dialogue whatsoever. It was all done with this and the smiles and the pats on the back or the pointing and things of that nature. Because early on, my wife and we were sitting on our deck and talking about this. And I came up from my office and let her read some of the dialogue I had for Ringo. And she goes, yuck. It's just like, why are you even having him say anything at all? And I went, oh, that's cool. Sure makes it, you're gonna make learning my lines easier. And then I said, well, who is this guy? And to my wife's credit, I mean, I give her so much credit for this, because she goes, what if he's maybe not even there? Maybe he's magic or something. And then, oh my God, the whole story just started really rolling at that point, because Ringo...
Careful with the spoiler alerts now.
Oh, that's right.
Don't give too much away.
Well, I was going to tell the whole ending and everything. No, anyway, so he... because, well, the poster that we've got for the what's like a pitch deck, they call it, when you send out a bunch of the information about the movie, and then it says the two brothers kind of going down the wrong way on a one-way street, and they find I can't even remember how it goes now. They find their way for help from a stranger, and maybe just a little bit of magic. So I really want we want the audience to be unclear who Ringo is. Because I don't know, I think this is a spoiler, because a lot of people didn't even realize it until I said something about it. But you notice in the script, during the film, the brothers were with Ringo all the time. But then they're around other people too, and just when they turn to refer to him or mention him, a phone rings or they get distracted. So it's a little bit of a sleight of hand here, where you don't really know if anybody else in the movie even sees Ringo, or is he really there? People have asked me from the very start, well, who's Ringo? And my answer has always been, who is he to you?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to define who Ringo is to anybody. I want the audience, I want them to walk out of the theater going, oh God, wonder what was his story. I want to create that. And so that's why I purposely didn't flesh that out anymore. Because we had a lot of suggestions from even people doing the table reads. Wow, what if you did this with him? And had him say that, or this, which was, I appreciate all that input, but it was, this was something that I wanted him to be ambiguous. So.
Well, and at that point, we're locked in with Mystery Ridge with Jerry and Amanda's directing, and you guys had a clear vision as well. Again, table reads are helpful for the process and cleaning things up, because you get other people like, hey, I'm not so clear on this, I'm not so clear on that. So you do little cleanups here and there. Right before the table read, you had written in my character.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, I was just going to be getting handcuffed at the very end, but he messaged me shortly before the read saying, yeah, so I wrote this scene in, I'm not complaining. More time to play on camera. So it's a conversation that gets these guys on the road, right? I talked to the older brother, and this shirt is my character's shirt, and it's a one of a kind. These stripes came from a different shirt. They sewed it on, so I wore it for our little talk tonight.
The movie was set in 1971, by the way.
Yeah,
Set in 70.
It's a, and the clothes, everything. It looks great, and the cars. Boy, we got a lot of cars. There's a car club, and many cars came out for many different days. So I took pictures of all of them, sent them to my dad. It's an interesting look at perhaps what's possible inside of independent filmmaking, because they're, our producers, Dia in particular, were out in the community and making deals, doing fair trade. And so, look, we're going to put your products in the film, and of course you'll be in the credits and a special thanks. And we had so much donated for that. I mean, beautiful jewelry, some costuming, you name it, locations, whatever.
Oh yeah, a lot of locations didn't charge us anything.
It was
Most.
really neat. And of course, all the people with their cars were just happy for the opportunity, instead of trying to, gouge you for funds to rent their vehicles.
Yeah.
I was amazed. They were like, yeah, go ahead, drive it. And these guys are, doing like 5 takes of starting and stopping the car. And I'm like, okay,
Classic.
really pretty cars.
Is it uncouth to ask what was the production budget for Vacant Lot?
Is it uncouth? No, I mean it was about $100,000, and all said and done.
From grants, I'm guessing?
Well, no,
No, okay.
pockets,
Right.
some deeper than others, and but we're, like I mentioned, we're still looking for because I went after a grant, didn't get it, and we didn't want investors, because investors want to have something to say about it. And we didn't want, we had a pretty good, producers and I had a real good vision of what we wanted this to be. In fact, I had Rainier Beer lined up to use their product, but then they wanted something to say about it, and so we made up our own beer. The younger brother's favorite snack is Ding Dongs. I got Hostess on board, and they supplied us with a shitload of Ding Dongs. I think there's probably still some up there, and so that'll be in the gift basket at the
One
wrap
of
party.
the last nights of shooting, it was late, it was cold, and then someone started hanging out, and everyone's eating ding dongs.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
Dia was walking around handing out Ding Dongs.
They sent you the original artwork for the boxes. So our art department, Kathy, my gosh, amazing woman, printed it out and covered a box with the original. So these looked exactly like, and I don't even remember the Ding Dong King. It was this little cartoon with the crown. I'm like, I totally forgot about that. But here we are. It's like, that's a Ding Dong box from the 70s.
Yeah, and then in the 70s, they were wrapped in foil, and now they're wrapped in plastic. So there's Kathy unwrapping them, wrapping them in foil, putting them in the box. God, some of those times, sitting in the back of the car, there was a long time to be in that car. And so we were sitting there just eating Ding Dongs and red licorice and corn nuts. Those are the things that I used to snack on when I'd get loaded.
One day of shooting, so I sat next to Amanda for the whole film, basically watching the monitor. So we're in the truck with a monitor in the back. We're watching that. There on the rig. This is right after lunch, and we shoot a scene where Oscar's eating a Ding Dong. He did 3 takes in a row, and he ate a whole Ding Dong every take.
We kept
I was
saying,
getting
"You don't
sick
have
to
to
my
do
stomach
that."
just watching, and I'm like, actors, this is why you have a spit cup.
And you just,
You don't need to swallow if you're going to be doing this. And I tell you what, we were incredibly efficient. We can get a little more into that, but essentially it was, 2 takes per shot and then move on. Really, really efficient because the performances were on. And if we did more than that, it was a technical, and there was a lot of technical with the vehicle.
Oh God, that first day on the car, with the
vibration.
You mount the car, the camera's on the rack,
Yeah.
the car's there, and then you're being towed, and then everything was shaking, and it was, we lost a whole afternoon worth of shots because of the vibrations, and an anecdote, my brother and I had an orange Volkswagen, a little Bug. It was a 1971 Bug. Of course, we were doing it in the mid-70s, but I found the Bug later on, but I wrote in the script originally a Chevy, just because it was easier. But Jerry, bless his heart, he was no, it's gotta be an orange, that's what you had, let's get an orange Bug. And then realizing that Bo and I, and even us, we're taller, and to have 3 of us in there, and me climbing into that back seat over and over again was, oh my God, that was a joy. And it was because we couldn't open the doors very wide on the trailer too, so I was, squeezing through there, and Amanda never missed an opportunity to walk by, and she goes, "You wrote it. Shut up." You wrote it.
You wrote it.
She's just always telling me to shut up. So
Long dialogue scenes. Who wrote this?
Yeah, who wrote this? God, the crap I took from her, because I wrote the story as a story. I didn't write it with how it's going to film, how it's going to be shot. I mean, because I'm an actor and a writer, but I don't know the production side of it.
You were.
Now I am.
You were, but now you will write differently moving forward.
Oh, I my other script that you know of, I'm already 40 pages into redoing that one.
Yeah.
So with this in mind, with how to shoot it better and how to cut some of the dialogue, cutting dialogue,
It's hard.
oh, I hate that.
I get it.
So I've got a question about writing dialogue. Do you apply the dialogue as a writer, or is there a way that the dialogue is more organic and emerges? I mean, how does that work? For the character?
For me, I just wrote like I talked. It was so easy for me because so much of the dialogue in this movie was almost verbatim about my brother and I. We were foul-mouthed. We gave each other shit constantly, but we loved each other dearly. He passed away a few years ago, and that's what also was a catalyst for this to go forward. But I just wrote it like we talked to each other, And it got trimmed out. It did get trimmed down because after setting with Amanda, and she goes, "Well, see, you're saying the same thing here and here. You really don't." So and I'm, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." So she helped scrub it, oil it down. Dia did too. Absolutely, Dia did at the beginning. So it just kind of it was organic for me. It just kind of hey, they're driving around, they're getting loaded. So they're gonna have this conversation about nothing really, but there's a surprising amount of dialogue in a whole bunch of nothing, if you know what I mean. It's.
Do you mind if I ask a kind of technical question? With these revisions of dialogue, with every revision, did you print the script on a different colored page, or is that like bigger productions do that, or?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
catch your question.
That it's a practice. Every version of the script gets a new color. This is whether or not it's printed on the actual cover. It might be called the pink script, but it still might be on white pages.
Right.
So there is. I don't know if there's an official order of colors. I have no idea. I have been on sets that do that. I think you numbered them, didn't you?
I number.
Yeah.
I just
They
had
were
dates
numbered.
at the top. This was as of March 2021.
Right.
And then by the time we got to set and started shooting, I didn't even have an accurate copy anymore. I didn't even have it, you know. Amanda had it, and
Did
so
you,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, did you keep rewriting it as you guys were shooting too?
Not rewriting it, we would add and delete.
Right.
Because again, on set, because I know Bo came to me, especially Bo, more than anyone else really came to me and said, well, I don't know if I really say it like that. Do you mind if and I said, absolutely.
When you had shared that in the beginning also, whatever you're comfortable with. I've been on several sets where writers do that, and I think it's a beautiful thing. They're removing their ego from it, right? And if it's a period piece, I guess, you know, we do want to make sure we're staying inside of the vernacular of the time. But other than that, whatever you're more comfortable with. The day of my scene, I'm like, hey, I did X, Y, and Z. He's like, great, great, great. I cut this one out because I say it here. Hey, great, great, great. The key is the actor can change it. On the day, the line still needs to be the same. You still need to know your lines. You still need to be able to repeat it.
Yeah.
You can't be doing you can't be changing the lines every take, right? On the day, know your lines. Period. Know your lines. Why? Because that's going to help the editor, and that's going to ensure you the greatest possibility of being on camera. If you mess up your lines, you know what's going to happen? They're going to cut to someone else listening to you while your voiceover is running, because they can't sync up or whatever. So, know your lines.
And like you said, the vernacular of the times, again, 1971. There were some terms and things in there that I know some people like, what?
They're not very politically correct,
Yeah.
as we would say today.
Yeah, and you know, and there were some times when I said, I did say, no, this is the word we're going to use. It's in there for a reason. I mean, that wasn't nothing more, but it wasn't my ego or anything telling everybody, no, you have to do the way I wrote it. It was it showed the time. It illustrated the times and who
Absolutely.
these boys were. That's why it was so important to say this or that, or to act in a certain way. Like our last night of
The
shooting.
slang was much more colorful. I know.
Oh.
I grew up in the 70s, so it was really right on. And there was a lot of cleanup of some of the, you know, the 4-letter words. There was a lot more.
Yeah, Amanda has said one thing that I won't. The way I'll direct this is if you get rid of half the F-bombs. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, but again, I said at the outset that that's how my brother and I were. We weren't bad guys. We were lazy, and we talked whatever. And I got what she said. I completely understood what she was saying, how she explained it to me, and how sometimes people get turned off unless it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. Maybe you don't want to have that much in there, and it didn't affect it at all in my mind, adversely at all. Because it can get overused. And,
Sure.
And as I went back to some of my earlier scripts, yeah, I was way overboard with some of it, and I get it.
And look, you're going to offend someone, I don't care, doing whatever the heck you're doing. That's going to happen. You know, there was no malicious intent whatsoever. It's telling a story. It's painting a picture. There's a difference. And you're not going to be able to, you're not going to make everybody happy, plain and simple.
No. I mean, like I was starting to say that, like at the end of our last shoot, when I came over to you and I asked, can we tone Oscar down a little bit? Because he bordered on trying to be humorous, trying to be funny. And again, because I stayed out of, I know where my role is, and I didn't want to ever step on any toes. The coach's toes, the director's, anybody else's. But when I saw something as the writer and producer, it was up to me to say something. If it really, affected me, and a couple of those times I said, ew, can we not go there? I never wanted it to turn into a comedy. It's got comedic moments, it's got loving moments, it's got tragedy, it's got all those things, but I never wanted at one time to anybody to see that we were trying to be funny at all. And that's when I kind of stepped out there.
Real and authentic, and I think we achieved that for sure.
I think so.
So we did do something different, which is not necessarily practiced in the industry, and that is having an acting coach. I was there every day, the whole day. Everyone had call times and stuff like that, and I just, mine said OC, on call. I'm there from the beginning to end. Which one is, I have done this before, and it's a model that I've been talking with Jerry and Amanda with Mystery Ridge for quite some time, and we really, really got to play with it here. So I sat next to the director, watching the monitor, and if I had an idea or she had an idea, I would talk to the actors, she would talk to the actors. We check in with each other. She never questioned me, I never questioned her. It was just a lovely collaboration. Again, why? Because we want the best possible product. So there's no ego there, there's no stepping on anybody's toes. It's like, this is what we're doing. So with that, we also had several people from this class, current, present, past. What was your take as an actor and as a producer with that in play?
Well, my take as an actor, first and foremost, one thing I learned in this class about the sight lines, of course, and then the consistency of movement, like you were just saying, if you got to say your lines right the first time or each time, so you don't get edited out of the way and everything. But my character not having any lines, but I still was very cognizant of the thing that if that one take, if I held up my left hand here, I made sure I did it that way every single time, or if I pointed to something in a certain way, I was very conscious of how I was doing it. Something that's I learned here was how to do that, how to be consistent in your delivery of line or movement or whatever, the blocking, if you will. And then as a producer, watching the actors on set, the past and the present, there was a difference. There's a major difference. I'm not saying this because he's here either. I'm saying this because I leaned over a couple times going, I'd look over to you. You knew exactly what I was talking about. It's because the way one actor, I respect her and I think she does great work, but she's not in this class, and I saw the difference between her performance and another actor that has been in this class, because, okay, no, let's do it again the same way. And just the consistency, and I'm going to point you out, the consistency in Flink's performance, how you move the phone, how you lean forward, every single time. It was there, it was spot on. This other actor was, no, you got to turn the cup this way. And okay, and the next take, they didn't do it. And it's not because of they're a bad actor or anything like that. It's just they're not trained in some of those nuances that I think we learn here, which is, again, speeds things up, makes it so much more fit. You were saying that the efficiency of the set was amazing, and a lot of that was because the actors knew to really, okay, let's do it again the same way. Okay, let's change it up. And then, as Rick has always said, you're gonna give them purple, but all of a sudden they want yellow, and boy, you better be able to give them yellow just like that, or pick your color. But and I saw that more consistent with my classmates than with some of the others. And
I would say practiced as opposed to trained. Again, you know, I'm not teaching you how to act here. I'm giving you the opportunity to practice. And one thing that I came up with recently, when you're dancing as a dancer, you're learning steps, and then you learn to put those steps together in a combination that's called choreography. For auditions on Broadway, they're shown a routine once, and then they have to repeat it. That's a long routine. There's several combinations inside that routine. You can't do that if you're not a practiced dancer. If you haven't been practicing putting different combinations together. It's the same thing for an actor. If you're not practicing and you're not practiced, you're not going to be able to go onto the set and take the directions that are given to you. Some might be technical, some might be acting, probably both. And one of the beautiful things was, you know, this was Flink's first feature film, first job as an actor, right? Well, actually, you got it right before you got your agent, right?
Yeah.
You had the role before you got the agent. And
Yeah, where's my commission?
so,
In the mail.
but, you know, I'd give him a note, sight lines or whatever, and he would just nail it every single time. And Amanda, our director, said, and he performed every single take. It's a combination of being able to flow, be present in the moment, and still handle the technical of repeating a certain motion or something. Don't think that it's all technical. No, you still have to be acting. You still have to be present and in the moment. If you're not practicing that, you know, good luck. Because we still got great performances. It's going to be harder on editing. It's going to be harder in post because lines changed, actions changed. And what we saw consistently and what we heard every scene was, let's do one for safety, let's do one for safety. That means we nailed it on the first take. Over and over and over and over again. Same thing with other projects that I've been able to coach on. It is hands down one of the most efficient ways, and we don't even take a lot of time with rehearsal, to be honest. It's all handled on the spot. But that's what happens when you're working with what I would call professional actors. I don't care if you're an amateur or you're not union, but you're a professional if you can show up, you can take direction, and you can apply it instantly and perform every single take. That's a professional actor.
And with Flink's performance, again, the original script, or several versions of the script, he was just a kind of a throwaway part, just a voiceover on the other end of the phone. Yeah. And then, again, started fleshing out and everything, and then the day we shot, I leaned over to Amanda and I wish I would have given him more lines. I just wanted to flesh the scene. I go, tell you what, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna go write another scene. She goes, if you do, I will kill you. Because we were, you know, tight budget and everything. But I thought, I can just think of so much more fun we could have with this character.
Days, weeks later, we were still talking about this. Like, oh man, I wish I could write more for Flink. That was,
I know. It
which is a great compliment to you, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
You earned it.
that's what you want, and it happens on sets. You do a good job, and they're like, we want more of this. You know, Doug Dawson started out as a one time on the first episode or second episode of Z Nation, and became a recurring character for the next 5 years because they loved his take on it. Yeah. He and his partner's take. It was a duo, sketchy and skeezy. So
I remember. I think I shot him in season 5. I think I killed him anyway. So that was. I won't embarrass you anymore. No, I just thought that throughout the process as a producer and a writer, I saw these. If I would have known how good this would have turned out, or would have done this or that, or given more to Amy for Kim Emery. There's so much more because of the performance. I said, wow, we could have done a lot more with this and that, but you know, but that's typical, because I used to ask Dia, way back early on, when do I know when my script is done? And she laughs at me, she goes, oh, Bill,
It's never done.
it's never done, Bill. And that's true. The script is never done. The other script I'm working on, I started almost a year before I even started Vacant Lot. And it's still breathing in that. I'll be working on this thing for a while before I show it to.
Question?
Yeah, it sounds to me like there's a point where the technique, like, say you have to move the cup the same way, or you have to enter the phone the same way, can cross that line in your action and become the art. Is that what you're inferring, so that even though the motion has to be the same, whatever that technical motion is, it eventually becomes something that's not even recognizable as like technique, okay? It becomes a part of, say, the intent.
Absolutely.
Art.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, the director may give you a specific action, or you may choose one, but now as we progress, we want to remember what we did, again, for continuity's sake, and for ease in editing. That's just you being a considerate part of the team. Again, learn as much as you can about the filmmaking process, because there's so many people involved in this process, right? And we all want to contribute. And we had, when we were on Zoom, one of my clients who happens to be an editor, we did a Zoom session with
I
him.
remember him. Yeah.
It's still on the page, and so it's there. His main thing was, were these notes. You know your lines, say them the same, and remember your physical movement for continuity's sake. These are the things that editors need to deal with. And guess what? If you don't, snip, 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 cutting room floor, you're going to lose chances. But, and that's why I do, and I really appreciate the question, mentioned that, yeah, it is a technical, but yet still performing. It absolutely has to be owned as your organic action. Even if now it's no longer organic, because this is the 4th time I'm doing the scene. You can do a scene 10 times before you move on to the next shot, right? Who knows, depending on it. Thankfully, that is not our issue. But yes, it is a combination of merging that technical, the choreography, the blocking, and now owning it in the moment and having it be purely organic, as if it's the first time that it's happening. Yes, absolutely. And again, how the hell are you going to do that if you've never practiced doing that, right? If you're not practicing, which is what the gym here is for, right? This is what we do. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. A dancer isn't going to be able to perform. A musician, this was a conversation we had on the 4th or 5th weekend. Tell them what you told me
trying to
about
remember.
feeling rusty from playing.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, because I've been a professional musician my whole life. I only got into acting about 5 years ago, and so I've been playing drums, for holy shit, 55 years. 55 years. And
That's
I've been,
longer than I've been alive, man. That's impressive.
yeah, I'm still here. Fucking A. Anyway, so I've been drumming for 55 years. I used to tour and blah blah blah, and then I was in got off the road years ago, and I was in a band locally. And long story short, I stopped playing as my acting got more involved in things of this nature, and I just recently got a call, and I joined a different band, a big 8-piece horn swing type of band, and it's all real busy, real physical, and I haven't really done that for about 4 years, really played physical, and I felt so, and I was telling Rick, I'm worried that I can't do it anymore. I'm really worried that I've lost my whatever that was, you know, because I've never been professionally trained. I just did because I wanted to be Ringo Starr, you know. I finally became Ringo, but in a different form. But I was really worried that I didn't have it in me anymore. And I'm not all the way there yet either. I still have, I'm having my doubts because I'm practicing. I go, I'm still rusty. I'm still rusty. My hand, you know, I'm just not feeling because I haven't been working out. Not working out this way, working out behind my drums. I haven't been doing it. That's the same for the acting. It's just
Same for anything in life. But there's something about actors that think that they can get away with not doing it. I know. I'm one of them. And I did it for years. And the thing that's made the greatest difference for me in my life, in my career, is showing up every Monday night for the past 5+ years. Coming here, or wherever here was, because this is our 7th location, right, in 5 years. Including someone's basement in their home for a couple of months in between. Showing up every week. That's it. Show up. Just show up. Commit to show up. And it'll pay off. It will pay off. What this has done for my acting, and I don't get up and perform here in class. I don't. I'm still thinking about it. Maybe I'll get there someday. But what I've discovered walking into auditions, man, it's the comfort level, the confidence, which is what I want for all of you, is to walk in confidently and walk out with a smile on your face saying, that was fun.
yeah.
Thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. So, we haven't really met yet. I'm Sean. So I've only been here about 2 years. Fresh off the boat, never acted in anything before. But coming to class every week and getting up as much as you can if somebody needs a partner or something like that, jumping in and just, even if you're reading off the page, you get those reps and you get that, almost like muscle memory. Or, maybe you don't have something one week, but you're still showing up to class and absorbing what other people are doing, listening to what Coach or Aubrey or Bill or other people chime in and say, and you're taking your notes and you're just doing the work, so that when you do get on a set for the first time and with a speaking role, that's the fun part. To me, this is the work. This is the hard part. Coming to class and starting by reading. You're still on book and you're reading, and then each week you progress, and till you're satisfied with it, and you throw it away and you do something new. Being on set and knowing the script and knowing your lines, but being there, that's the fun part. That's not.
Gosh,
It's not to say it wasn't hard or that wasn't, but doing that work prior, I think, really helped me, and it was such a great experience. I can't thank you enough for letting me be a part of it, and I just can't wait to see it and see what else we got coming up.
I know that you sat, as I did when I first joined this class years ago, I sat silent for probably 6 months before I ever kind of I'll come up and do something, And you did kind of the same thing. You sat there
3 months.
Yeah.
3 months before you got up, I think.
Before you tried anything. And there's sometimes, lots of times, where I have nothing to work on in class. I still want to come. I want, like you just said, listen, watch. Okay. Taking his direction to whoever's up here doing something. Okay, how would I do it? How would I apply to it? That kind of thing. It's like we talk about the fun part. I had 3 auditions this last week.
Yeah.
That's why I haven't changed this yet, because I auditioned for a Mountain Man for a Chevy Silverado commercial.
Yep.
And hopefully I'll get it. But anyway.
I auditioned too.
Did you? Wow.
I hope you get it too.
Gotta follow Rick again. But anyway, I was going to trim it, and then I got the audition, and then I auditioned for that feature in Seattle for a preacher, and then Kroger Fred Meyer commercial. Anyway, so I haven't done it, but what my whole point is I went home, got on my setup at home, my widescreen, and I was under pressure to get them done, but I felt so good about it. I think, yeah, that's good. And I remember I said, I think I'll do one for safety. And I was feeling all that, but I felt really good about it. My whole point. I was just, okay, I got this. I got my sight lines. I got one of them was an improv. The shopping one was improv. So the other two were just, the Mountain Man's kind of odd. One, pulling out the phone, taking a picture. I don't know what that was about. But anyway,
Commercials.
but I had fun doing it. I was so excited about doing it. And if I get them, cool. If I don't, cool. Yeah, I got the audition. I had fun doing it. I felt good about it. That's the thing. I felt
Interesting.
good
how
about the audition.
You're getting quite a few auditions right now.
Yeah, I
I
want to get
wonder.
a part.
That's kind of interesting.
I'm getting them.
Energy. The more you put into it, you've been creating, you've been in the mix. You're putting a lot out into the universe. Stuff's starting to come back. The harder you work, I promise you, the more auditions you'll be getting. That's life in any pursuit. But I've noticed it in acting. The harder I work, the luckier I get. One of my favorite quotes that I discovered, I had it in a little booklet that said anonymous. I looked it up, and it's attributed to Mr. Mayer, as in Metro Goldwyn Mayer, right? The final M of MGM. He said, the harder I work, the luckier I get. In other words, it's not luck. You create it. You create your own opportunities. You want to be an actor, be an actor. Find a way to act. Get in the gym, work out consistently, create with other people. And we've always had a great, safe space and, for people to come with no experience whatsoever. And in a year, they're booking. I've never seen any other program being classically trained myself that moves that fast. It works. And like I said, I'm not teaching you. I'm just providing a space for you to discover your voice. Did you?
Yeah, Bill, what would you do different, and where do you want to take it from here, or what's the plan from here?
What would I do? What different? Acting, writing?
Just anything. Like after it's all said and done, would you do anything different?
As far as my movie goes,
Yep.
if I do anything different. Honestly, I can't say I would, because it evolved, it grew, as it went. I had no preconceived notions. I mean, I was like, I don't know, can we do this? What do you think? I was so excited and so humbled and almost disbelieved that these people who I admire and respect want to be a part of it and want to make this movie. And I wrote it. It's still a little bit, I'm so humbled by it all. Truly I am. That so many people that I admire and respect, and all these people I've gotten to know. So I don't think I would do anything different. Yeah, I might get rid of a few F-bombs up front a little more, but nothing really. I would have loved to have more money up front and some things of that nature, but I
We
don't know,
also-
first thing-
Moved at breakneck speed.
oh God, yeah.
From the time that they read the script and moving into pre-production and then production. And of course, this was shot on 5 3-day weekends, Saturday, Sunday, Mondays. 15 days of shooting. That's not a lot for a feature film. So yeah, we did 12-hour days, which is also something that we're not, as a team committed to. We're really looking forward to 8, maybe some 10-hour days. Everyone should sleep. Everyone should be taken care of. I know everyone on this set felt that anyway, but we're evolving towards that. So the time to get the money, all of that was really quick. And part of my conversation with Jerry today was, let's set up a meeting to talk about what worked, what didn't, and what we would do differently.
kind of a debrief.
Absolutely. So that's coming up. So get ready.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I've got a whole bunch of notes on things, but again, being a first-time producer, I mean, my little short film that we did, I can't call myself a producer for that one. This is really a first time producing, and so I learned so much, and I don't know. Now I'm thinking, oh yeah, this time I might do this or that. But each situation is going to be different. Each script is going to be different, and you're going to approach them differently, and you're going to have different cast, different crew. So I can't sit here and hard and fast say I do this, and this differently. I know that's a long-winded, roundabout question, but an answer to your question. But I just can't really think of anything I do any differently, because I'm just so. I'm sorry.
So that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm just so, again, humbled and blessed that I was able to that we were able to do this, and I'm still.
To piggyback off his question, the second part of his question, what's the plan for the movie once it's finished?
I'll make millions of dollars.
Obviously, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that I'm going to do that. No, I mean, again, that's part of our ongoing strategy. You know?
Because I heard something about you're putting it on some website. I didn't know if you're going to do festivals. Like, is there any kind of strategy?
Yeah, there's festivals, which ones still to be determined.
Yeah.
And they also want to pursue Film Hub, and that's I don't know enough about it, but that's where you put your movie out there, and I guess if it gets gets amount of views, likes, or whatever it is, that's when you start building some groundswell or some credibility to it, or something where you might take it someplace else to sell, whether it be
possible
Netflix
distribution.
or Hulu or, Paramount, wherever. I don't know. But right now it's not a hard and fast strategy.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're thinking we're going to do this. We're thinking we should maybe do that. That's as far as we still have to, start the marketing part of it. Just even locally marketing.
But you also are working on the rights for music
Yeah.
right now, and that's going to be a determining factor also. So we need to figure out what the final soundtrack and everything will be, because that's going to consider to be a certain level, really,
Sure.
in terms of what avenues and paths. But ultimately we want it seen by as many people as possible, right? I mean, that's it. And there's a long road ahead. And I shared that meme. There's a light, it says media, and it's shining on one person, and it says actor, and then right next to it, it says the hundreds of people that made the film possible. There's so much that goes into the post part, right?
I had a question about that. Is Mystery Ridge doing everything in-house, editing, the special effects?
Yes.
Everything.
All that, yeah. that's awesome.
Thankfully, there's not a lot of special effects.
No, but I know one part that there is. But,
Right.
And I didn't know if they had that capability, if they felt comfortable doing it, if there were other, if
Man,
they were
it seems
farming
good.
any of it out, but that's good to
Confident
know.
about it.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
confident.
she did the sizzle reel for Complicated by Design,
That has some special effects.
and that definitely had some. And where she needed help, she got help.
Yeah.
I don't think she'll need it for this.
With all that new software she got too.
But she's, definitely. Look, they're filmmakers. I mean, she and Jerry have been in the biz for a long time, and in many different capacities. So I love hearing the stories, and Jerry's got stories.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I really trust Amanda as a director and editor. She's got an amazing eye and feel, heart, energy, vibration. Exactly who you want to be working with. This is the dream that I've been talking about since day one when I started the class, helping people bridge the gap between theater and being on camera, and building up this community, and creating a viable community where we're here doing what we love, where we live. That's a big thing. And over the years, we've seen lots of people come and go, seek greener pastures, right? Other markets, bigger markets. And I'm like, you're gonna cut back because we're building it here. It's happening here. And, you know, we got 2 sound stages coming into town, folks. And that eventually will probably be 4. This is gonna be where you're gonna wanna be. So,
An acquaintance of mine says, asked, well, how'd your movie go? And so you're doing it, have you been down in Hollywood all this time? And I go, no. And then they kind of looked at me like, oh, not Hollywood. Whatever. You know, I got that look from them because we weren't doing it in Hollywood. And that's what, again, I tell people, I'm so excited that we aren't doing it in Hollywood. We're doing it outside that. We're doing it in midst, we talked about our energy on set, the love that was felt on set, all the, just the funny little things, you know. How many? I mean, I can't even.
the
think
coincidences,
the coincidences that this
that happened on this set were freaky. The synchronicities, not just coincidences. And really quick, and we can move on, but the day we were shooting, the brothers pulling off the side of the road and the farmer coming up in his tractor, helping them out. I'm on my way to set, driving out to Waterford, Washington, or something like that.
Valley Forge.
Valley Forge. All right. And I take the drive for the number, and then I come back out and I pull to the side of other side driveway. And I didn't realize this till we were shooting the scene. But I'm sitting in the car, I'm looking at this piece of paper, and this tractor is approaching me. He gets out to talk to me and then tells me about down the road, there's another road, but don't take this one because you'll get stuck. And I realized I just lived this right before we shot this, literally. And that happened every weekend. There was something like that. Every weekend, I think it was blessed.
Well, the scene that we pull off the side of the road and my character gets out, and picks a flower and gives them to the brothers. We were looking around for some flowers, and so Kathy had some flowers over there in art. She was going to bring them over. We parked, and I got out of the car. There was a little piece of sagebrush there with the exact
purple flowers.
Purple flowers that they were there, and so just little things like that.
And then 2 weeks later, we get to the hotel in Kellogg, Idaho, and they have these planters with dead plants or cigarette butts, and there's one planter right in front of where his chair is, and we're gonna get his face in the sunlight. The sun's coming up early in the morning. Little purple flowers in that planter. Again, it's meant to be. That's what happens when many hearts come together. And I think that's what we have. And being able to watch the monitor and be blown away with what I'm seeing there in terms of performances, I can't even imagine what it's gonna look like on a screen, you know.
And like you said, when we get the level of music, because people were saying, well, I'm a musician, I got all these musician friends, why don't you just record the songs? Why not? It's like, yeah, we can do that. We still have to pay for them, but it's different. It's gonna be different if it's really Van Morrison singing that song. Because in the background music, yeah, I've got friends, we're writing music right now, we're gonna fill in the background music and the score. We're doing that ourselves, but the opening gate and closing gate, so to speak, it's going to be those songs. It's going to take it, I think, going to help take it, be accepted as a higher level. I don't know how else to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's, all the.
Awesome.
Oh, what an experience! So.
Thank you for sharing, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.